Welcome to the CAV Chronicles, exploring the scenario-based validation for safer mobility, a podcast where innovation meets exploration. Join us as connected, cooperative and automated mobility experts guide you through the cutting-edge world of scenario generation, virtual testing and other transformative advancements shaping the future of mobility. I'm your host, Iain Macbeth from ERTICO, the European Intelligent Transport Systems Association. As part of the SYNERGIES project, we collaborate with leading partners to drive progress in CCAM systems. Together, we'll navigate this dynamic landscape and uncover the technologies and ideas redefining our roads of both our urban and rural environments. Let's hit the road towards a smarter, safer, and more sustainable future. In today's episode, we are bringing you Jordi Pont, coordinator of the SYNERGIES project, and Adria Ferrer, also from Applus IDIADA, who will introduce the SYNERGIES project to us. So, Jordi, Adria, can you briefly introduce yourselves and what your role is within the SYNERGIES project?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Ian. So, hi everyone. This is Jordi. I have a background on computer science, and I'm currently working at IDIADA as project manager, and specifically on the electronics department since 2016. Regarding SYNERGIES project, I had the privilege of serving as the project coordinator of SYNERGIES. So on this role, I mainly oversee the project's overall direction, ensuring that all the moving parts, whether they are involved, academic, industrial, regulatory partners, are working together. So mainly my job is essentially to keep the project aligned with our goals and ensure that we deliver real and impact on the CCAM community.
And Adria?
Yes, good afternoon. Hello, everyone. So my name is, as said, Adria Ferrer. I'm responsible for innovation at Applus IDIADA, and I will be helping Jordi providing strategic advice for the implementation of SYNERGIES, as I was also involved in the proposal preparation of the project and the delivery of the proposal to the European Commission.
Thank you. Before we actually go into the SYNERGIES project itself, many of our listeners will be familiar with IDIADA and what it's been doing in CCAM over the last few years. But perhaps, actually, if you could just give us an overview of what IDIADA is involved with.
Of course. IDIADA is an engineering service provider for the automotive industry. And of course, automated driving is one of our main pillars or main directions. Especially because we see the safety potential of these technologies, and safety has been one of the main drivers. Improving safety has been one of the main drivers that we had overall our history. We, as a company, we offer, especially to OEMs and also tier ones, comprehensive validation services during the development stage, but also up to the end of the development, which is the type approval before the vehicle goes into the market. And this can be at a virtual level in our proving ground that we have in Spain and other places in Europe and around the world, and also in field operational tests worldwide. So you could say that we help manufacturers to cover all the stages of the development, especially throughout the validation and type approval to enhance the validation processes also for CCAM systems.
Thanks, that's great. So we've got a lot of partners within the SYNERGIES project, and we'll be hearing from them in future podcasts. But for our audience, for people who are not familiar, can you give us an overview about what the SYNERGIES project is all about?
Yeah, sure. I think that this will be up to me as project coordinator. So, mainly SYNERGIES project, it's focused on enabling these safer and more reliable automatic driving systems. But I think that the main output that it's more important here, it's what we call the SYNERGIES platform. Okay, so this will be the main output, and it's the main objective that needs to fulfill on SYNERGIES project. So just on a couple of sentences, this SYNERGIES platform will be formed basically in two main parts. The first one will be a big scenario data space, okay, taking into account a federated approach. So you can think on this scenario data space on a single point, where you will be able to access to several databases, and among them, we will have for sure our own database, the Synergies database, the scenario database that we will be created within the resources of Synergies and within the partners of Synergies. Then we have the other part of the platform that is a marketplace with tools that basically it will be like a place where all the tools to be able to process data, to extract scenarios, to check quality of data. So we had several tools in mind and will be put there in order to facilitate the onboard of new databases to the scenario, this data space. So in brief, this is our main objective and this big overview of the project Synergies.
Thanks, Jordi. Obviously, one of the main outputs of the project is the scenario data space. So maybe, Adria, can you tell us why scenario generation is so critical for the validation of CCAM systems?
Well, scenario generation or generating scenarios is let's say the basic point to start when applying scenario-based testing especially for CCAM systems. Scenario-based testing at the end is one of the widely accepted method to ensure sufficient safety assurance, as it helps also limit the validation efforts and allows CCAM validation and safety assurance of CCAM systems to be feasible actually, and not driving for an infinite or a virtually infinite number of miles. So to apply scenario-based testing, we basically, of course, need scenarios. Yeah. At the end also, it's the basis for, as I said, a widely commonly agreed approach, and also very much aligned with what would be the regulatory compliance, so type approval. And it also helps, it allows for a continuous improvement of the system. So collecting scenarios throughout the whole life cycle of a vehicle while it's in service as well, and comparing this with how the vehicle performed during the type approval, and seeing how the performance of the vehicle evolves through the scenarios that they encountered during the service. It allows to be proactive in terms of improving the safety and the potential safety benefit of such systems.
That's great. Thanks, Adria. I mean, I've been involved in testing autonomous vehicles for nearly 10 years now, and it's amazing how this technology has come on leaps and bounds in this period. How is the Synergy project approaching the challenge of generating those realistic and diverse traffic scenarios? Maybe Jordi, you could comment on that.
Yes, I can. So this is very, very interesting question. So in fact, in Synergies, we are taking this as a multifaceted approach, we could say, to ensure that we can capture this complexity and diversity of real world traffic situations. First of all, what we are doing is to integrate both real and synthetic data. Okay, so on the one hand, we will be recording traffic data from real world driving, and on the other hand, based on this real data, we will generate synthetic data using these advanced tools that we were talking before. So that the combination of both will help us to create this comprehensive data set that will reflect more or less a wide range of traffic conditions, behaviors, and expected situations, and so on. Also, take into account what we were talking before about this European scenario data space. So this platform will be designed to standardize, or to try to standardize, how scenarios are shared and used. So make it easier that the different probably databases initiatives that are around Europe at this moment make it easier to work together. Apart from that, there is also the role of artificial intelligence, this topic that has raised during this few years ago, that we believe that it's a little bit of a game changer. So we are leveraging generative AI to create diverse and complex traffic scenarios, while also the explainable AI helps us to analyze data in a way that's transparent and easy to understand. Okay. And finally, we could say that collaboration is one of the most important points. So we don't start this work from scratch. There were lots of previous initiatives that have been working on this topic, previous projects like Headster, Sunrays. So we want to talk with them. We are already talking with them to align between ourselves with their lessons learned and also with best practices. So the idea is to establish these standardized methods for scenario generation across the entire, I would say the first objective is the EU CCAM community, but also involving the international organizations. So I think that's one of the main points that could answer your question, Ian.
Yeah, thanks, Jordi. It's great to sort of see this EU collaboration across the sector, but also reaching out to what's happening elsewhere around the world, and keeping Europe right at the forefront of these developments. You mentioned AI. That's changed things quite significantly over recent years. But can you explain some of the key technologies, or maybe the methodologies that are being used for the scenario generation for the project?
Yes. So at this moment, I believe that we have around up to 11, 12 different methods to generate scenarios within Synergies projects. For sure, we will not review each of them, but I believe that it's worth to mention at least that one of the main sources not the main, but one of the interesting one, which is the crowdsourcing scenarios. So this means that we enable scenario contributions from the general public. Okay, so with this, the project aims to democratize safety and enhance the scenario diversity. Then for sure, there are the standards, regulations, guidelines. So we are also aligned with all of these, and the project tries to align this with the existing standards and regulations to ensure the compliance, interoperability, and reliability in the validation of the safety assurance of the CCAMs. And finally, AI again. So the generative AI are used to create these complex and diverse traffic scenarios efficiently. So I think that's from up to these 12 or 13 methods that we have, that the ones that I have just mentioned are the most worth to mention here.
Thanks, Jordi. Yeah, unusual events. It's almost impossible to predict what happens on our road to a day-to-day basis, and I guess maybe some of those public democratization, maybe using people's dash cam coverage of crazy incidents that people never think about, will be quite an interesting part of your project. But in terms of those edge cases, the rare events or unpredictable solutions in traffic, what are crucial for CCAM system evaluation and validation? And maybe Adria, if you'd like to comment on that.
Yeah, of course. You're touching on a very sensitive subject, and it's very linked with what Jordi just explained, because as we said at the beginning, just by accumulating miles driven does not ensure that we are fully covering all the scenarios, all the reality that a vehicle with automated driving technologies can encounter. And we need to in order to have a sufficient and representative pool of scenarios, we need to also that's why it's so important to take a look into how those are generated. So one of the approaches of generating scenarios needs to be more on the side of standards and regulations, as Jordi mentioned, but also on, for instance, on how the system can fail and how the system actually behaves. So this will help us identify the critical points of the system. But at the same time, we need to, it's not about the number of scenarios, but the range and diversity of those scenarios. And we need to understand and as I said, identify how this system can fail or misbehave on the scenarios. And yeah, it's a balance between having sufficient scenarios, but also high quality, if I can put it like this, scenarios. So the nature of those scenarios is essential for a comprehensive safety assessment and robust and reliable CCAM validation.
Thanks, Adria. Now, in terms of testing across Europe, it's a diverse continent. We've got hot and cold zones. We've got different types of driving conventions across the community. Things are different from city to city or town to town. So how do you ensure that scenarios generated are representative of real world conditions in the different regions around Europe?
Yes, again, this comes to how these scenarios are generated. So we will have methods that stick more to what we know in terms of regulation, how the system behaves, how people drive, how are the traffic rules in different environments, in different countries. We need to cover as well a sufficient number, sufficient representativeness of the pool of scenarios we have. Knowing the probability of occurrence of those scenarios is also key. And in order to be able to account for, as you mentioned, different driving conditions, traffic laws, cultural behaviors, we need to know those and then try to assess whether this is applicable for the specific system that we are testing. And then ensuring that even if we don't encounter that scenarios while testing, we still consider those for the validation. And here there's one feature of the Synergies platform that Jordi explained at the beginning, which is key, which is the scalability. And the Synergies platform, so it's a big consortium, as we mentioned at the beginning, and there are a lot of industrial players involved, which is also one of the main objectives is accelerating the deployment of CCAM, and that's why some of the use cases will be directly targeting industrial application. And we have a relevant number of partners involved, but at the same time, we want the platform to be onboarding new initiatives and to be as representative as possible, because only in this way, this is the only way we will be able to cover as much as possible in terms of, as you mentioned, representing different regions, but also having a bigger pool of scenarios, a higher level of consensus as well. So the objective of the Synergies platform at the end of the day is to be even more, a higher number of the group of people participating on that should be higher than the number of partners involved in the consortium, so to say.
Thanks, Adria. So Jordi, that sounds like quite a challenge. You've got to get consensus, a large number of people agreeing things. As a project coordinator, how do you manage a collaboration between various stakeholders in Synergies? You know, you've got academia, you've got industry, you've got regulators. It's quite a complex mix of actors involved, isn't it?
Yeah, totally agree. It's not really an easy work, we could say. But yeah, as Adria just said, we have a very big consortium, and we are lucky, in fact, to have all them on board. So we have OEM representations, we have tiers representations, we have researchers on board. So we are a lot of people, and it's challenging to make everyone agree on specific topics. But first of all, the main thing is that we have this clear governance model. We have this project steering committee. It's kind of like our decision-making hub, where all these people are represented there. So it make it easier to have a reduced number group of people to discuss these main things and then move forward to the whole consortium. Then also we have the usual structure on the European projects as every work package that it's mainly like a focus area of the project. They had their own leader, and it also helps to take the decisions from here. Okay. Then another point is communication with everybody. And for this reason, we are investing a lot of efforts in deploying tools that help on this communication. So for example, we are now just working on this collaboration tool that we have just finalized setting up in order to help not only people from the consortium, but external also stakeholders to give their opinion on that. Okay. Because mainly a big part of our work is to align these objectives. So, for instance, not these groups that we were talking before, academia, industry, regulator, each one has its own objective, and all of them needs to be aligned. For instance, academia might focus on innovation, but industry wants to applicability. and regulators will prioritize safety, compliance. So we need to make sure that everyone is aligned. Apart from these meetings and talking with them, we also encourage the participation on other types of events like workshops, webinars. Maybe we also like very much to participate on breakout sessions during conferences in order to keep the ideas flowing, we could say, to share our point of view of the things, to hear them what they think, and then this will help both to advance in a better way. And finally, it's collaboration between everybody. So we need to ensure that if everyone is aligned, we can collaborate and we end up with this nice output that we were explaining before, that at the end of the day needs to make an impact to the CCAM wall, or at least it's what we are expecting.
Thanks, Jordi. I look forward to seeing your energy demonstrated across this collaboration process in the months to come. Adria, I can hear you in the background sort of smiling at the scale of the task that Jordi's got. But how do you think the results of the project are going to impact on the automotive and mobility sector in the years to come?
Look, I think that we are in a moment right now in which we've been working for many, many years in collaborative projects for the mobility sector, I would say, but especially for the automotive industry. We are members of EARPA, in which a huge community of 6 members have been working for more than 20 years in research in collaborative projects for the automotive industry. We've been extremely great successes in terms of safety, for instance, and there are many other success stories. And the automotive industry has been leading the R&D, let's say, innovation at the European level. And this right now, it's somehow being challenged. And I think that one of the interesting aspects of SYNERGIES is that due to the scale of the project, due to the scale of the challenge, and also due to the difficulty or significance of the challenge in terms of collaboration, because we need to share data, we need to agree on common procedures, not only for research, but also for industrial and product development. The SYNERGIES can be a flagship project in terms of how to accelerate CCAM deployment, but especially how can we, through collaborative efforts, together with the researchers, with the industry, with other stakeholders, achieve or overcome challenges that without such collaboration in Europe, with the reality we have in Europe, would not be possible in another way. Yeah? And I think also that a lot will happen in the immediate future in terms of regulation as well, that will help and also accelerate the deployment of such systems. So it's for me, beyond if you want, beyond the technical or the practical implementation of the project, it's even a symbolic implementation of the project that will be of significance, and hopefully, and if everything goes well, and if as you said, Jordi can keep up the energy for 3 years for enhancing the collaboration, we will achieve this to be a flagship project.
Thanks, Adria. Now we're coming towards the end of our time. But perhaps just for the immediate future, Jordi, what's going to come up in the next couple of months? I know we've got a bunch of events next year in 2025, and we'll talk about those in the next podcast. But what's coming up in the immediate future?
So at this moment, I said just a moment before, we are happy to release this cooperation platform. So you should expect that by the next month, probably December, this cooperation will go live. Everyone, we need to fit this platform for discussions about the scenario generation. I think that some of the discussions that we are having now here, some of the discussions that are having when people see each other in conferences, we want to have a place to have this discussion. So we should expect to go one of the biggest things will be this platform. And that said, on the first months of 2025, there is these major events. There is EUCAT in May, ITS Europe, Visita. We should expect to have the first things or the first demonstrations of synergies what we are doing on this event. So we are aiming to do so. And also, we are also continuing this international collaboration. So we are already talking with South Korea, Japan, Australia, US. We already have strong links from previous projects. We are part of international working groups, and we are bringing these discussions to this international level. We also be more than happy to take advantage of these events and to share in a same session the visions that we have on a scenario generation.
Thanks, Jordi. And Adria, I guess looking forward, when we're having these discussions, presenting the project at these events, how do you think those discussions are going to take place? What do you think will change and throughout the life of the project and moving forward after that even?
So usually when we share these type of initiatives and compared, for instance, with the Sunrise project to which Synergies is very much related, the collaboration or the feedback we get is fairly positive. I think that this project, so Synergies is not starting from scratch. There's a lot of work that has been laid down by Sunrise, and Sunrise did a lot of also groundwork on aligning and harmonizing a lot of the conceptual approaches. I remember that for the Synergies proposal, we spent months and months trying to work out the concept. And then after 3 or 4 months, we had to sit down again and say, okay, what is a scenario for you? What is a scenario for you? And what is a scenario for you? And then agree on that was just the beginning, let's say. Yeah. So you have to go to the basic things even on the taxonomy level to understand that everyone is speaking the same language. And then starting from that, you can start to agree upon things. But I think that since the Sunrise project started, since we started the Synergies project also this year, there's a lot of this that has been achieved. And now even when Jordi was mentioning international collaboration, when we start working on what Jordi will start or continue actually discussing with colleagues, for instance, from Japan, there's a lot of common understanding that's already laid down. So what we expect is more positive feedback and also, let's say, a welcoming approach for this platform, because I also think that it has a lot to give. Many stakeholders can benefit from collaborating through the platform, and the idea is to catalyze and to help and accelerate, as I mentioned at the beginning, the CCAM deployment and development for many stakeholders, now for researchers, for industry, and so on.
Yeah, that's great. Unfortunately, we're running to the end of our allotted time for our conversation here. So there's been some fascinating insights into the Synergies project from you both, and thank you for that. Perhaps just to wrap up, have you got some key takeaways that you'd like our listeners to remember about Synergies and its importance to the future of mobility?
Yeah, maybe I can start with my takeaways. I would say that I would like them to remember that, Synergies and what we promise. I remember that when Synergies started this June, but I remember seeing people during April or the month before the project started, and they were all quite excited about this project. So they are talking, oh, Synergies has been granted, and let's see what are we going the output of the project and so on. And in these kind of projects, we used to wait like 3 years to see what happened. But I think that the good thing here is that the Synergies platform that we were talking at the beginning, this is something that it's material, and we are hoping to show to the CCAM community as early as we can. So we would believe that during the next year, we will able to see this Synergies platform. They will be able to test it, to play with the platform, and from our side, we will be happy to receive all their feedback. So I would say that the main key takeaway will be that this platform will become a reality very, very soon. And we will be happy to hear everyone on the CCAM community to make it as better as we can.
And Adria, a final word from yourself?
Yes, I think that what Jordi just mentioned, Synergies has a very clear and specific objective and direction, I would say, which helps us to disseminate the message and also to call for collaboration. I mentioned scalability is one of the main key aspects of Synergies. The long-term sustainability of the platform is another one. So we don't want the Synergies project or the Synergies platform, to end up with the Synergies project. And we even don't want the Synergies platform to be funded by another collaborative project at the same TRL level. So we want to develop a model that is sustainable over time, because we truly believe on the usefulness of the platform, and this will be a key for accelerating the deployment of CCAM systems. And this basically is thanks to the collaborative approach we can have within the consortium. We expect to have outside the consortium as well. We need to think about, there are 4 different initiatives that are developing scenario databases that agreed to come together for this platform. This is not an easy option to take. Also, the industrial partners opened, let's say, their processes and are very keen to collaborate on how we can work together to achieve this. And this shows this open approach and this collaborative approach of the platform that we will definitely develop within the project, and we expect also to find outside with more and more stakeholders that can join us.
Thank you both. I know you both have incredibly busy schedules, as demonstrated by all the conversations that are having to take place to enable this amazing project. So thank you very much for your time today. We'll look forward to hearing from you again later in the podcast series. Thank you. Thank you for listening to this podcast from the CAV Chronicles, exploring the scenario-based validation for safer mobility on behalf of the Synergies project. Please refer to the description box for more resources, and don't forget to click the subscribe and follow button. Stay tuned for the next episode.